The year is 1204 AD. Crusades are a dominant part of the landscape in Europe and the medieval Holy Land. Though in the midst of these ongoing campaigns, an unthinkable event occurred during the Fourth Crusade. To the absolute horror of the Byzantine Empire, their great capital city of Constantinople would be under attack from another Christian army. In the century leading up to this tragic event, the Byzantine Empire was not the mighty region it had been for hundreds of years. However, the last 2 decades prior to 1204 AD, under the Angelos dynasty, were particularly harmful to the empire's state of affairs. Corruption in administration and internal power struggles created an atmosphere of crises. So why would one Christian empire ruthlessly attack another Christian empire during the time of Crusades? Hello everyone, my name is Craig, host of Medieval to Modern. We feature fascinating information from civilization's medieval ages. Thank you for joining us today, and please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help grow this channel. The events leading up to the Sack of Constantinople in 1204 AD really started to gather pace in 1198, though certain seeds were planted much earlier. There was a simmering mistrust between the Western Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches since the Great Schism of 1054, which resulted in the break of communion between the two Christian churches. Next, in April 1182, Eastern Orthodox citizens of Constantinople participated in a horrific massacre of Western Roman Catholics. These victims were mainly Venetians, who dominated merchant trade at that time in the city. This did little to help the reputation of Byzantines in Western Europe. Then, after events of the Third Crusade, during which the Byzantine Empire was seen as hindering Roman Catholic Crusaders, tensions reached heightened level. During the year 1198, a Fourth Crusade was called by Pope Innocent III, who wanted Jerusalem under Christian control. Eventually, the leader of this campaign became Boniface of Montferrat in 1201. To accomplish this objective, the planners of this crusade wished to attack Egypt, then under the control of the Ayyubid Sultanate. In addition, the commanders did not want to go by land, deciding to travel by ships. During the prior year, leaders of this crusade had sent envoys to Venice and Genoa to present a contract for providing transport. Genoa declined, though in March 1201, Venice entered negotiations and agreed to terms. Venice, a naval power, estimated it would take 1 year to complete their part of the agreement. In this contract, Venice agreed to build the required ships and man them. During negotiations, the Crusader leaders thought 33,500 people would depart from Venice, so 50 ships and 450 transports were needed. However, there were no enforceable conditions that all Crusaders would have to leave from the port of Venice. This would prove to be a serious planning error by these leaders of the Fourth Crusade. When the Crusaders did arrive in Venice during May 1202, their numbers were far less than anticipated. Only ships for 12,000 were needed, as many Crusaders found alternative ports for departure. Having performed their part of the agreement, the Doge of Venice, Enrico Dandolo, insisted upon full payment. Otherwise, these Crusaders would not be permitted to leave until their debt of 85,000 silver marks to the Venetians was completely satisfied. Unfortunately, the Crusaders initially had only 35,000 silver marks in their possession. When threatened with confinement by Doge Dandolo until full payment was made, 15,000 more silver marks were made available, putting these Crusaders near absolute poverty. At this critical moment, Doge Dandolo offered a solution for the Crusaders to fulfill their obligation. Sack the Christian city of Zara, which was formerly under Venetian control, and their obligation to the Venetians would be satisfied. Some Crusaders refused, though most agreed. After a short siege in November 1202, control of Zara was returned to Venetian rule. When Pope Innocent III heard of this proposal, both the Venetians and Crusaders were threatened with excommunication if this plan was carried out. Nevertheless, the Crusader excommunication was soon rescinded in February 1203 after a special envoy was sent, begging forgiveness and making repentance. Though now, the Venetians wanted these Crusaders to attack Constantinople. The Venetians' main objective was expanding their trading interests. In addition, Doge Dandolo loathed the Byzantines for the massacre of the Latins during April 1182 and apparently being blinded there while on embassy duties in 1171. Before the fleet sailed from Venice, Boniface of Montferrat went off to meet with his cousin Philip of Swabia during Christmas 1201. Prince Alexios IV Angelos, who fled Constantinople for the protection of Philip's court, was also there at that time. While gathered together, the three talked of deposing the current Byzantine ruler to place this prince on the throne. The Pope refused giving consent to this plan, though Boniface and the Prince continued confidence in their arrangement. It was after the siege of Zara that envoys from Philip of Swabia reached the Crusaders while they were still at Zara in January 1203. They brought with them an offer for Prince Alexios IV Angelos. He stated that if the Crusaders fought with him to regain the throne, 10,000 of his Byzantine army would join the crusade and help with funding from the Byzantine treasury. In addition, he would place control of the Eastern Orthodox Church under the papacy, pay the Venetian debt, and give 200,000 silver marks to the Crusaders. Finally, an agreement was reached in January 1203 to carry out the prince's and Venetians' wishes, though a large number of Crusaders did not wish to join this plan. On June the 23rd, 1203, the Crusader fleet, which included 10,000 Venetians, arrived outside Constantinople on the Bosphorus Strait. In July of 1203, they commenced their siege, and by August they gained control of the city. The Crusaders installed the prince as Emperor Alexios Angelos IV, along with his father as co-rulers. However, they were not seen as popular and did not gain the support of all the city. Furthermore, the young emperor failed to deliver on all his promises to the Crusaders. Eventually, they were deposed in January 1204 by anti-Crusader nobleman Alexios Doukas. Emperor Alexios Angelos IV was murdered soon after in February 1204. As new Emperor Alexios V, the former Alexios Doukas vowed to stop these Crusader invaders. By April 1204, with both supplies and patience running low and Emperor Alexios Angelos IV slain, the Crusaders demanded this new emperor honor the former ruler's agreement. When Alexios V refused, the Crusaders and Venetians decided to attack Constantinople. Unfortunately for the Byzantines, they did not have the powerful incendiary weapon of Greek fire. This combustible liquid, which was often projected from a flamethrower, had protected Constantinople in the Byzantine Empire for centuries. Apparently, the secret formula was so well guarded it was lost and could not be deployed. Please remember to watch the fascinating Medieval to Modern episode on Greek fire to learn more about this incredible weapon. It was on April the 12th, 1204, that thousands of Crusaders and Venetians attacked Constantinople in a second assault on the world's largest Christian city. After overcoming steep wall defenses, Constantinople fell completely to Crusader control on April the 13th. Then, Constantinople was sacked for 3 days. During this horrific time of utter savagery, the Crusaders and their Venetian allies killed, looted, and vandalized this great capital of the Byzantine Empire. The shocking losses of precious life were grotesque. In addition, priceless Greek and Roman art, objects, and monuments, including numerous marble statues, were either stolen or destroyed. The attackers also melted ancient relics, chalices, and bronze statues. This included many priceless works, like the immense bronze Hercules, crafted by Lysipius from the time of Alexander the Great. That priceless statue was also melted for its content by these Crusaders. Churches were looted, including the remarkable Hagia Sophia. Icons were destroyed or desecrated, and church altars smashed or destroyed to gather their gold and marble. Stone homes were stripped of valuables, furniture, and silk. Graves of former emperors at the Church of the Holy Apostles were exhumed and precious items taken from them. The world's largest Christian city at that time was ravaged by Crusaders sworn to the Christian faith. After their rampage, the Crusaders and Venetians divided the Byzantine Empire among themselves, including the creation of the Latin Empire of Constantinople. History would later show this event fractured the Eastern Roman Empire into a state of vulnerability which would be hard to defend. Constantinople finally fell in 1453 to the Ottoman Empire during the fall of Constantinople. In the end, money, personal interests, and betrayal proved greater motivators than Christian faith in the tragedy we know as the Sack of Constantinople. Yes, it was not the original intent of the Fourth Crusade to sack the city. As well, there is a system in place by the major commanders during the Sack of Constantinople not to harm citizens, especially if they were Latin. Nevertheless, hundreds of civilians were killed and assaulted. The spoils of uncontrolled greed, which ended up at around 300,000 silver marks, were gathered at several designated churches to be divided between the Venetians and Crusaders. Nevertheless, an estimated additional 500,000 silver marks that were hidden mostly by Crusader knights was also taken. Despite those that say Byzantine intrigue and the invitation of Emperor Alexios Angelos IV to Constantinople brought the Crusaders there, this was clearly not the case when these same Crusaders attacked Zara. Were they invited by King Emmerich to sack that Christian city? Cruel greed cannot hide its nature or be excused. Centuries later, the disturbing truth behind many of these Crusaders and Venetians' motives during those 2 sacks is hard to ignore. Thank you for supporting us at Medieval to Modern. Please be sure to watch our next episode or one shown at the end of this video. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and spread the word about this channel so we can create more exciting content. I wish you good tidings as we remember that sharing knowledge has been a noble deed throughout the ages.